And this evening's in conjunction with Sunsail, and we're going to be, well, I'm really looking forward to this. So make yourselves comfortable. I see the chat box is filling up already. So, yes, do say hello. Hi, Roger in Milton Keynes. Thank you for joining us. And hi, everybody. Claire from Derbyshire, Bruce from London, Lynn from Calendar. People are coming in thick and fast. Mark over in the USA. Thank you so much. Louise says she's from Mars. Now, I don't know whether she means the planet or whether, like me, I used to work at Mars, the company. So I don't know whether Louise is there or whether she's just being a bit cheeky. And welcome visitor from the Croatian National Tourist Office in the UK, and Joan in Newcastle upon Lyme, Nick from London. So, yeah, we've got people coming in thick and fast. We'll be kicking off the evening properly in a minute. But meanwhile, do feel free to say hello to us. We always love to know where everybody's come from. Hello, Mary, who's also in the USA, Charlottesville, Virginia. Thank you for joining us. Karen in sunny Linton. Yeah, we've had wonderful sun here in the UK over the last week, and sadly it seems to have broken today, though I think today was the last warm and sunny one. But don't fret, because tonight we're going to be dreaming of sunnier climes, of lovely warm seas, snorkeling, swimming, lovely restaurants, waterfront restaurants. So I like a bit of that, with a cheeky glass of white wine and some beautiful seafood. So we're going to be transporting you over the next hour to wonderful Croatia. We've got Kathy from New Jersey. Welcome. Bill from up in Scotland, Perthshire. Richard from Toronto. Jose from Ecuador. So people joining us from all over the world tonight. Daniela from Sweden. I'm sure I spotted somebody from Serbia there. Yeah, Dragana in Serbia. Karen and Brendan, East Sussex. Virag from Vienna. Real international audience tonight. Jenny in Bristol. So... Roger says he can't hear anything. I'm hoping that's just you, Roger. We think we're all okay here. But, yeah, lovely. Thank you all for joining us, like I say. And any minute now, we'll kick the evening off properly. So, which we'll be talking, as I said, about... Okay, Roger, sounds now okay. Good. I got a bit worried there for a moment. We hate technical glitches. But anyway, so, yeah, thank you again for joining this very special evening when we are looking at sailing the Croatia coast. We're doing it in conjunction with Sunsail, the sailing holiday experts. And like I say, we're going to be transported over the next hour to, to that wonderful, wonderful Croatian islands, and which are so, so special. And we're going to be hearing, first of all, this evening from a real regular Wanderlust contributor, Mary Novakovich. And Mary's an award-winning travel writer, and she tends to be Wanderlust's first call on all things Croatia. Both her parents were born in central Croatia, and she's visited dozens of times since. And Mary has written a wonderful memoir, My Family and Other Enemies, Life and Travels in Croatia's Hinterland, which has already won a couple of awards. It came out, I think, in 2022. Is that right, Mary? Yeah, and I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful book, absolutely riveting. So tonight, Mary's going to be sharing some of her insights and advice for exploring Croatia's islands. And then Mary's going to be followed by Mirna, though I'm going to get this name wrong now. Oh, Jakšić of Sunsail. And Mirna's the events and Flotilla manager for Sunsail. And she's joining us tonight from Croatia. Where exactly are you tonight, Mirna?
I'm in central Dalmatia. So, yeah, a lovely bit of coast. It's where we like to go sailing most. So, for everyone that doesn't know the coastline a little bit better, maybe the word Rogoznica will mean something. For those of you that haven't been around, it's, central Dalmatia. on the coast. Very nice part.
Oh, no, sounds wonderful already. And I know you're passionate about sailing, about yachts, and all things marine. So really looking forward to hearing from you too. And so, so this evening, once we've heard from Mary and Mirna, they're going to have time for questions. So while they're talking, do feel free to send your questions through. And and we'll allow some time at the end for them. So I see a few more people have joined us. Lovely to have you. More people. Oh, Montenegro, USA. Like I say, a really international audience tonight, and all looking forward to this. And don't worry, all of you, if you do need to pop out at any point during the next hour, or if you have to leave before the end, we are recording the whole event, and we will be sending out a link afterwards in the next few days. So please don't worry about that. And as we always do, we will be sending out that follow-up. Anyway, I think it's time we got on with the evening. Oh, sorry, I've been distracted by Una from Watford, who's made a Negroni to watch the event. So this is what I say, people have got to be comfortable. I've got my cheeky glass of wine here and really looking forward to this. So without further ado, why don't we have a short video to get us in the mood? Well, that gave us a bit of a flavour, didn't it, of what's to come. So really looking forward to this. So, Mary, we'll leave you to it. And if you can take us to the islands of Croatia.
Thank you very much, Lyn. And thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me to talk about one of my favourite countries in the world. I can't quite believe that it's nearly 50 years since I made my very first visit to Croatia. I know. And I've been back dozens of times ever since. And every time I go, I find something new and wonderful. And I never get tired of it. I've been very lucky to have explored Croatia's Adriatic coast and many of its 1,000 or so islands in all sorts of ways. I've been taking island ferries. I've had speedboat trips. And I've been on skippered sailing trips as well. And many of my trips have been quite similar to the itineraries that Sunsail offers around the Adriatic. I know the islands and the ports and beaches, the food, the wine. I'd like to pass on some of my experiences in the hope that this will inspire you to go sailing in Croatia. It's certainly one of Europe's best nautical destinations, with an extraordinary amount of variety in a relatively small country. You can see from the map here that I'll be focusing on central Dalmatia initially, which is easily accessed from the Marina Agana, about a 20-minute drive west of Split Airport. Now, you can't miss the island of Sholta here, which, as it's in full view of Split's waterfront. But you'd be surprised at how many people don't actually spot Sholta. People are usually in a rush to get to Hvar and Brač, but they're missing out on one of Croatia's loveliest islands. This is Stomorska, which is one of the ports that many sailors go to, and it's one of these places that epitomizes Dalmatia. It's full of boats, it's full of people, families, summer nights, sitting on the decks, eating and drinking. And there's some beaches nearby, and it's such a laid-back place. And one of the really lovely things about it too is that I went hiking on a hiking holiday a few years ago, and right from Stomorska there's a path that leads directly to the Kaštelanec winery, where it's a family-run place. Vicko is the father, and he runs it with his children. And they have their own wine, Jakšić, which is an indigenous red wine grape from Sholta, only found in Sholta. And they have their own olive groves and make their own olive oil, which is superb. wonderful tapenade and tuna pate. And it's wonderfully convivial. They make their own bread, make their own rakia, all the different brandies and which are typically Croatian experience. And it's definitely worth visiting if you happen to be in the area. Now, on the western side of Šolta is Maslinica, which is, again, a very, very pretty place. It has its own marina as well and a very, very nice beach. And on a summer night, you'll have, little duos of musicians in the harbour playing, and not in a very obtrusive way. It just sort of adds to the whole atmosphere of a sultry Dalmatian night. And just south of Maslinica is Šešula Bay, which I had a lovely lunch here because you can see the restaurants here. It's a very deep, sheltered bay, and it's a great harbour for when it's a windy day, and then sailors can sit it out for a bit. And what you do is one of the restaurant I went to was called Šešula, and you can see the huge grill there. They grill their seafood and grilled meats. And if you organise yourself to ring them or email them a couple of hours beforehand, you can order a dish cooked under a perka. Now, a perka is a cast iron bell-shaped pot where you cover it with embers and you fill it with whatever meat you're cooking, usually lamb or veal or pork or even octopus. You put everything in there. You put your potatoes and carrots and garlic and everything, seasoning, and it just sits and cooks slowly for about 3 hours. And when you have it on your plate, the succulence is just off the scale, and you've got to have that, but you have to book it ahead because it doesn't, you can't just, it's not a quick meal, put it that way. And along Šolta's southern coast, they've got again, it's very heavily indented coastline and a lot of very sheltered beaches where you can we hired a scooter and took a scooter down to, or if you're in a boat, you could easily go and tie up to a moor and just dive in these wonderfully clear waters. A lot of the beaches there, you're lucky if they have like a beach cafe, but they're really quiet and it's just beautiful, peaceful places, gorgeous, clear water. And these are all pebbly. So if you are in Croatia, most of the beaches, it's worth investing in a decent pair of swimming shoes, because unless you've got really tough feet, of course, but I haven't, I'm a complete wimp. And I really get much more enjoyment out of being able to swim off the rocks and wade into the pebbly shore. And another bay, Jorda Bay, which is, again, really secluded spot, beautifully clear water. Now, the island of Brač, which you'll probably recognize that beach. It's probably Croatia's most famous beach is Zlatni Rat. And I took this photo from the top of Vidova Gora, which is the highest point in the Adriatic. And you get these fantastic views. You can either drive up or you can hike. And you can see Hvar Island and Korčula beyond there. And that's on the southern coast of Brač. And it's definitely worth being able to visit if you can. But I'll come back to Zlatni Rat later. One place that people usually will more is Puštica, not the easiest thing to say. And this is a beautiful bay. It's actually a two-pronged bay with some beaches tucked out of sight. And it's very, very pretty place. And it's also home to one of the very rare stonemason colleges in the world, where they teach kids of high school age how to be stonemasons. And all that wonderful creamy white stone you see in a lot of Dalmatia comes from Brač and from Korčula. And this is where they teach the next generation of how to do that. Mirna is another port that you'll probably be visiting. It's on the western side, and it's probably inches away from the coastline of Šolta. It's a very narrow channel where the boats go through, and you can see the typically sort of Venetian architecture that you find all over Dalmatia. And people coming in from if you happen to be taking the ferry from Split, you'll end up in Supetard generally on the northern coast. And if you want a slightly quieter alternative, there's a lovely village called Sutiban, which is just to the west. And it's the whole string of beaches. If you follow the path that you can see there on the right, and you just carry on as one beach after another. And it's a really laid back place where you can just chill out and have a swim in that beautiful water. I mentioned Zlatni Rat at the beginning of Brač, and the nearest town close to it is Bol. And this was taken in the height of summer. And even though Brač is a very popular place, and Zlatni Rat is a very popular beach, it doesn't get completely overrun in the height of summer, which is absolutely lovely. You can see it's all very lovely and lively, but it's a beautiful place to explore, especially if you happen to turn up as we did one year when they had one of the fish festivals. When local fishermen, they'll grill fresh fish along the water's edge, and they'll be selling their own wine, and everyone gathers on a warm summer evening. And it's a really, really wonderful way to spend a Dalmatian night. Now, this is Zlatni Rat from a closer perspective and height of summer. As you can see, it's slightly busier than a lot of the photographs will show. But what you can't really see from here is there's a whole forested area just along here, and also along the shore. You've got more places to swim, lots of lovely bars, chilled out places. It's a huge windsurfing place, and you can see the windsurfers out there. They've got competitions, and it's a complete mecca if you like your windsurfing. Also on the southern coast is a bay called Blaca Bay, and this was a complete contrast to Zlatni Rat, which we docked here, and we then got a launch to the shore, and we did a hike up to Blaca Hermitage, which was built in the 16th century, right into the rocks. You can see that the monks obviously wanted to keep themselves quite hidden. The monks have since gone, but there's a really interesting museum in there, and the hike is through a narrow river valley. And if you like your hiking and sailing, it's a great combination. Now, Hvar, Croatia's most visited island, and it's a wonderful place. You can see why everybody wants to come here, and it's got a reputation at certain times in the height of summer as being rather like Ibiza. It's got a very popular beach clubs, and it's in fact some of the islands you can see out in the just out in front of the Pakleni Islands. There's one island which has got the island beach outpost of Carpe Diem, which is one of the most famous beach clubs in Hvar. And but if clubbing's not your thing, you still want to come and visit, and also either hike or drive up to where this photo was taken from, the Spanish fortress, because you don't want to miss out on that view. And if you like even more hiking, you can go further up to where Napoleon erected a fortress, where I took this photo from. And because at one point, 19th century France was in control of Croatia. And so a few things were built, including this. And it's a fantastic views. Now, Hvar town is the capital of the island now, but one of a popular place for sailors to go to is Vrbovska, which is immensely pretty place with a river running through it, and lovely waterside restaurants, and a very, very well-equipped marina as well. And it's also just a few kilometers from the town of Jelsa, which is, again, very, very pretty place. Lots of bars, restaurants along the waterfront, and it's some really, really good beaches as well. There's a sandy beach, if you like your sandy beaches. And one of the ones I really enjoy going to is Jakšić Beach, which is all rocky and pebbly. And but if you go there, not height of season, but most of the time, you find it this empty. Well, maybe not anymore, because now everybody knows about it. I've been trying to keep it a secret, but it's hard to do that because it's such a lovely place to go to. Stari Grad used to be the capital of Hvar town, and strangely, for a major ferry port, it's remarkably quiet, even in the height of summer. We've been there in July a couple of times, and it's incredibly, really laid back place, lots of really good restaurants, and beautiful Venetian architecture, some very good beaches around there as well. And it's also close to Stari Grad Plain, which is a UNESCO-listed heritage site, where you can still see the vineyards and olive groves planted by the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, more than 2,000 years ago. Now, sailors love to go to the Pakleni Islands, and even if you're not sailing, you can get a speedboat to go there. And one of the places that it's very popular is Vinogradic Bay in Sveti Clement, which is the largest of the islands. And you come at sunset, and that is what you get. It's a stupendous view. They have a few bars and restaurants in that particular bay, and one of them is Zordi Timeless. I went to a couple of years ago, just after it opened. And the restaurant's been there since late 40s, I think. But they just recently built this wonderful boutique hotel with only 4 suites. And the restaurant, the food there is absolutely exquisite. It's not cheap, but it's a wonderful experience. And again, if you come at a certain time of the evening, that is your view. That is the sunset that you get. And this picture wasn't processed. That's exactly what you see, what you get. Now, Vis is also another popular place on any sailing itinerary. And I was lucky enough again, I love hiking and sailing at the same time. And this is in Vis town, where it was part of the Mamma Mia sequel was filmed. And did a wonderful hike in the morning, couple of hours up to about 260 meters above, where there was a refuge selling cold beer, which is what you wanted. It was not quite before midday, but still definitely time for beer o'clock. And that was a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And then when you happen to be back in the town at golden hour, and this is the light, and there's a great waterfront bar, which is a wonderful place to have your aperitif. Now, if we go further north, in northern Dalmatia, there are other places that you can sail, which are definitely worth checking out. And even if you're not sailing, that you still want to go to them anyway, because you can get there in other ways. Now, Šibenik is one of the strangely enough, it has tourists, but it's not really on the tourist trail. I've been there a few times now, and every time I find something really interesting even more interesting about it. And when I sailed into Šibenik last year, we entered via the St. Anthony's Channel, and you go past St. Nicholas Fortress, which is the first of the 4 fortresses they have in there. And because it's quite narrow, you can't get the really, really huge cruise ships that you get in other ports in Croatia. Hence probably Šibenik not being quite as well known as other places. And when you get closer, you get the lovely view of the city. And most people want to visit St. James's Cathedral, which is an astounding piece of engineering. I mean, it's again another UNESCO listed site, and it's the biggest cathedral built entirely of stone in Europe, and it's definitely in Šibenik for more than a few hours. Pop in and visit; it's absolutely gorgeous. And if you wander along towards the rest of the town, and there's a lovely beach area, you get these wonderful views. If you're sailing, the next stop that you go along the Krka River, and then you come across all of these mussel and oyster beds. And one of the best things I've ever done is we were sailing along here, and our skipper, and any skipper along this route will know what to do. You call the man who runs the shack, and he'll then come along in a motorboat with a plate full of shucked oysters, and very carefully hand them over to your skipper, and with a glass of white wine, sitting on the deck, eating these beautiful oysters that would just come out of the sea. One of those things I'll never forget doing. And neither will I forget the sight of dolphins along the Krka River, which is absolutely wonderful. You do see them quite a lot along here, and always a thrilling sight. And then you get to the port of Skradin, which is again another very pretty Venetian town, and a decent sized marina here. Again, you have different size yachts, nothing too big, which is quite good. And it's also the gateway for Krka National Park. And from Skradin, where the entrance is, your ticket price includes a boat, and you carry along up the Krka River, and eventually you come to Skradinski Buk, which is probably one of the most impressive waterfalls in Krka National Park. And you can try to fit in a few hours here, because it's just as you're walking along the wooden walkways, and you just it goes past these waterfalls, and it's a beautiful place. It almost sort of gives Plitvice Lakes a run for its money, and because everyone knows Plitvice Lakes, but the waterfalls in Krka are just as impressive. Now, from Šibenik, it's very easy to get a ferry if you haven't got your own boat, or if you're sailing, you can dock in Zladin, which is one of the islands in the Šibenik archipelago. I liked it so much the first time, I went back 3 months later. And it's an incredibly sleepy place. There aren't any cars. There's only one village. And it's a really slow-paced way of life there. People come, they might come on a ferry from Šibenik for a couple of hours. They'll have lunch by the water, they'll have a coffee, have a good gossip, have a swim, one of the beaches. Because there aren't any cars, there's some nice hiking as well because the roads are quiet. Everyone just gets around by golf buggies. And bringing in very, very important load of Croatian beer. Can't not have that. And it's also used to be the center of choral production in Croatia. And there's really interesting choral museum that opened up just a few years ago. And it's definitely worth popping in to get the story because it really gives an idea of how the island developed and why it's still an important place. And from Zladi, if you're sailing, the next port of call is a delightful little island called Prvić. It's much smaller than Zladi, but it still manages to fit in 2 villages, strangely. And one of the prettiest ones is Šupurina. And you can see it's almost like a bit of Provence in Croatia with the stone walls and the blue and green shutters. And the building with the green shutters, that's a restaurant, Konova Bare, where I'd had a peka, mentioned peka earlier. And the octopus I hadn't had a tenderer piece of meat. I mean, it was just absolutely unforgettably gorgeous. And again, just give them a couple of hours notice and you can get your peka. And Šupurina at dusk, the light on the buildings and the water, absolutely gorgeous. Now, one of the places you really must try to visit if you're sailing in that area is Kornati National Park. It's a whole series of islands where there's not a single permanent resident. It's off-grid. No, they haven't got running water or electricity, although there's a very good marina there. And if you really want a wild, beautiful barrenness when you're sailing, this is what you get. I mean, I absolutely love this landscape. I never get tired of looking at it. And some of the islands, such as Smokvica, does have a really good restaurant. You could dock there for a night and have some lovely food. And but the one thing that really makes me never forget ever being on a boat in Croatia is this. And we tied up to a buoy, got the paddleboard out, all just jumped in and swam in that incredibly vivid water with these empty hills around us. And that's why I never get tired of being on a boat in Croatia. And thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Gosh, I was completely captivated there. I mean, I just want to get on a plane now. That looks wonderful. And so many places. I mean, I've been to Croatia a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, but so many places there I haven't been to and didn't know about. And for instance, that's such a revelation to me about Croatia National Park and those waterfalls. I mean, how come I don't know about those?
Well, you do now. You do now.
Do tourists go to them? I mean, what would it be like?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it can get very, very busy. But again, if you time it for first thing in the morning, it's definitely worth going. I mean, again, we were there. It was July, but we were there. One of the first boats was Gradin going in, and you could just see it getting busier. But yeah, definitely, timing is very important in Croatia, especially on the coast and the islands. And it'll get busy in the height of summer, certain times of the day, but you just have to know when is the best time to go.
Yeah, no, I guess so. And I guess, I mean, we'll hear from Mirna in a moment, but I guess the advantage of being on a boat as well is, it can be timed. So you're avoiding any crowds. But no, that looked absolutely magical. And then Kornati National Park as well, which I'd heard of, but again, haven't been there. It looked absolutely stunning.
It is.
So, wonderful. So, no, thank you so much for that. I've got so much more I could ask you, but I'm going to wait till we do the Q&A. And so you can join us again then back in a few minutes for the Q&A. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you. See you later.
Wonderful. Okay, Mirna. So we've had our, I think we've really had our appetite whetted now, the sort of British phrase for the Croatian islands. So I'm looking forward to hearing about the practicalities of doing it with Sunsail and presumably on a skippered yacht. What that means as well, would love to know. But I'll leave you to it.
Thank you. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Thank you again for the invite. So as you heard already, so my name is Mirna and I absolutely loved Mary's presentation. It's so nice to hear from someone that, is looking at it partially from a tourist perspective, but also someone that has Croatian roots. Myself, I actually am Croatian. I live in Croatia. I was born in Croatia. I have sailed all around the world, Caribbean, Bahamas, Croatia. I always come back, and this is my base here that we're going to be talking about. So Sunsail, one of the biggest worldwide sailing companies, lots of choices. So this is a Croatian presentation. However, we do have a wide variety of other bases worldwide, which comes in very handy. So the one that I circled in the little red circle, that is our base in Croatia. We have two. So one is close by to Dubrovnik town, and the other one is close by to Split town. The area that Mary has actually covered does cover most of our region. So I'm talking more about the base where I am currently situated, which is close by to Split town area. Our yachts, so some of you may have sailed before, some of you haven't. So I'm going to be a little bit of let's call it mansplaining. Sorry about that in advance, but our yachts definitely have an edge and advantage because we do have the youngest sailing fleet from all of the charters in the world. We're very proud of that. So none of our yachts are actually older than maybe 6 or 7 years. That is definitely the oldest one that you can get. Usually the biggest amount is between 2 and 3 years old. So beautifully maintained yachts. And we are one of the very few that do offer a guarantee or a commitment that in case something happens on the water, we are right there with you within 4 hours offering our assistance. In Croatia, we actually have this beautiful saying. It says, if you need more problems in life, you will buy yourself a boat. And the meaning behind it is because boat always something always happens, something starts leaking. All of a sudden, something stops working. There's water involved. So that's why we're there. We offer our assistance within 4 hours when you call us. We also pay a lot of attention to our teams, to our briefings and our itineraries and advisement, especially myself personally. I'm doing a lot of advisement. We really do like that everybody feels comfortable and has absolutely the best experience out of their holiday that they can get. So if you would be so kind to allow me to give you a little bit more details about what we are actually doing. This is a little image of our base. We are found in a town called Mirna. That is maybe like Mary has actually shown. Thank you very much, Mary. So maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from the airport in Split town. And then you get, you can't really miss it, really. The town is called Mirna, but the Marina has the name Agana. And we're very recognizable by this little tower that you see. And what you can actually see at the moment are our catamarans and monohulls on the dock with a beautiful view of that tower. In case you didn't know, fun fact is that Croatia actually does have more than 1,200 islands. We do cover a vast majority of them in between the northern part, which would maybe be Kornati that Mary mentioned, all the way down to Dubrovnik. So it really gives a wide variety of choices where actually after you have taken over a boat. So that's really one of our biggest selling points. Definitely choosing whether you'd like to go into the hype, like in Hvar town center, do the clubbing, maybe go into a really posh and expensive marina, like maybe in Maslenica town, or you just like to go in the middle of nowhere and relax, anchor, whether on your own or with a skipper. So really endless possibilities. Speaking of marinas in Croatia are maybe a little bit more expensive. If you were sailing maybe in Greece, you will notice definitely the price difference. There's reasons for that. The amenities are, my opinion, a little bit on a higher level. Assistance, electricity, water, everything is included in the price. So really well and modern maintained marina facilities. And on land also, I will not steal too much of the time on that. We are here to talk mostly about sailing, but also like Mary, I'm going to use Mary's name a lot here, I see, but she mentioned some amazing things that I personally love as well. So for example, hiking or quad biking or cycling, it can be used in sailing, with sailing, combined with sailing so much, especially that wine tasting and the restaurants. Everybody comes back home from Croatia with extra couple of pounds because, you have to eat, you have to try a lot of our delicacies. What we offer from all of our bases, but specifically from Marina Agana, is a bareboat charter, skipper charter, Flotilla charter, and our sailing school. So I'm just going to give you a little bit more detail on each one. The first one would definitely be a bareboat charter. What does it actually mean? So it's very simple. You choose among the variety of our boats. You choose one that you like best, where you will fit all of your family, cousins, friends, or just the two of you, everything works. We are currently having in our fleet, for those that understand a little bit more, the mono hulls are the newest ones, are specifically do-for boats, and the ones that are between 2 and 5 years old are Beneteau. Lovely boats. They sail very nicely. And all of our catamarans are produced in South Africa by Robertson and Kane, and their models are called Leopards. Also love them, really nice and spacious, up until 50 feet. They go 4 or 5 cabins. So
Sorry about that, everybody. We seem to have temporarily lost Mirna, and she's hopefully reconnected. I know that just before we kicked off this evening, she had a bit of difficulty, and yeah, she's coming back now by the looks of it. Hey!
Hey!
You're back! Yeah. Don't know what happened there, but you're back. I thought I was going to have to talk about yachts, and I know nothing.
Oh, no. Well, you're going to learn everything now. Thank you very much for covering me. It looks like my Wi-Fi just snapped for a short while. Sorry about that, but I'm very happy to take over. Can you remind me where I stopped or dropped off?
Oh, gosh, who knows? I mean, you've only been off for literally a minute, if that. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
All right, I'll leave you to it. Yeah.
Very much. Sorry again, guys. It looks like my TCOM network is a little bit unstable today. I hope it doesn't repeat itself. So as I said, advisement is something that we're really very keen on doing properly in Marina Base or Marina Town, Agana Base. So our boat briefings, chart briefings, and safety briefings are very directed towards our bareboat customers. That does mean that you have to have a license that is accepted in Croatia. You don't have to worry about anything. All of our booking agents know very well which licenses you're allowed to go with or without. I do have to mention again our 4-hour commitment. That's really a big and important thing that we always ensure our guests to have. And very important to mention as well is that all of the equipment is actually included. So there is no hidden extra costs. You don't have to additionally pay for an outboard engine or a dinghy or extra linens or anything. You get everything that you need already on board. I will mention here as well our sailing school. If you're not a sailor already, after you have done a charter on board one of our boats with a skipper, for example, you may decide that this is really a great type of a holiday to have, because, I mean, you carry your house with you, you know. Sometimes you go into a hotel and you have to go, you drive a while to get to maybe a different town and so on. Well, a boat really just makes it easy. You have everything that you need with you on your floating sailing house. And every day you're in another destination, you see a different, lovely 2,000-year-old town in Croatia. So it really, why not like it? And maybe you decide, yeah, I want to do this myself as well. I love sailing. Do a sailing school or RYA courses, can do comp crew or so competent crew or day skipper courses, and you get licensed. Next charter you do, you're on your own and you get support from a base, but you are sailing on your own. If you want to charter a skipper, however, we do always highly recommend it, especially if you're coming to a new region, especially if you're coming in high season. What does that mean? It means that you just worry-free on your holiday. You just say, you know what, I really don't want to mingle a lot with other people. I want to be in an empty bay. And your skipper is like, no problem. I'm going to take you to an empty bay. We have northwesterlies this week. We're going to stay to the south of the islands. I'm going to anchor our boat for you and you're going to love it. So that's really, really a big part of skipper charter. A lot of skippers stay friends with our guests, even years and years to come. And also you can learn a little bit from the skippers. If you're a beginner, not really feeling confident, you're the only one from your group that does sail, and you'd like to share the love, skipper can really get in handy. So you're not the only one that actually knows how to do something on board. And another fun fact, I'm full of those. So in case somebody didn't know, Sunsail did actually create the concept of a flotilla sailing. As a flotilla manager, I am absolutely in love with this product. We have specific things that are important for flotilla sailing. What does it mean? It means that we have a flotilla, basically, of around 10 boats, let's say. Our ideal is between 8 and 10 boats, sailing together. However, you don't always sail together as one. So what happens? You get these 3 wonderful people that join you on their own boat. They're called the lead crew. They consist of a skipper, hostess, and a mechanic. And they're the one that create the itinerary for you. Of course, Sunsail and myself personally have created some flotillas itineraries that we find are really nice that you like to go and see. But, you know, sometimes the flotilla crew has to adapt because of the weather or maybe some other circumstances. So that's very possible. And then you are explained by your skipper how exactly you're supposed to do your maneuvers if you're a little bit unsure, and they're always there to give you a hand. Especially in Croatia, we do this stern-to mooring with lazy lines. So the first time that you go and do it on your own, it can be a little bit tricky, and it means the world to have an experienced person next to you. Then you go and sail, and then you enjoy your day. And in the evening, you have all of your berths reserved. You have a special social activity as well, whether it's a cocktail competition, it's a gin and tonic party, maybe it's a dinghy race, or wine tasting. It really is a wonderful thing to kind of meet other people that are with you, together with other people that share your passion. And there is also the technician there that, you know, when those little things go off, he's immediately there, not even within 4 hours, but less, to give you a hand. And also for everyone that's actually a beginner or a first time sailing in a region, this is a great way to experience the region. And then the next time or in the next couple of years, when you decide to come back, you're already very familiar of how things work. So flotilla holidays, guys, if you haven't tried it yet, highly, highly recommend it, especially on the social and safety side of the sailing. So as I already said, we are maybe some 20 minutes or 30 minutes away from the Split airport, which is an international airport. And I decided that we're going to use our time wisely and just talk you through one of our flotilla routes. I will mention which ones actually we have and maybe some specialties about them, but we're going to concentrate only on one just to save up some time as well, because our guests and owners and friends also know if I start talking about Croatia, I can be a little bit unstoppable and just keep on rambling. So let's not have that happen this time. So we have 4 different flotilla routes from our base. One is called Brač Flotilla. It's a little bit of a traditional one. It takes you to a little bit quieter places, but it takes you to a place how it used to be maybe before, maybe more traditional, maybe quieter, maybe more of those places where you would have a peka meal or things like that. And that's around 90 miles. The details more about that one are going to come very, very soon from me. The other one, as I like to call it, is Hvar or Metropolitan Flotilla. Why? Because we're mainly sticking to towns, and then those towns are going to be a town like Mirna on Brač Island, Jelsa on Hvar Island. You do have an opportunity to visit Hvar town on Hvar Island, which is quite busy, very metropolitan. Those clubs that Mary mentioned as well are there. Šolta and Maslenica are also very popular. So that's kind of like our adventure flotilla for those that like to mingle and maybe go out a couple of times in the week as well. Another one that we love is Krka Flotilla. So again, Mary mentioned our Krka National Park. It is possible to visit one in a free sailing day. However, we decided to keep this one short. Nice and short legs, maybe sail around 1.5 to 2 hours in a day, have loads of time to go for a swim, jump into that crystal clear water, take your stand-up paddleboard, go for an explore of your own, do a lot of snorkeling and get into those remote empty bays where our flotilla crew will actually help you to do a raft. Everybody's going to raft up together and enjoy a night under the stars, not distracted by a nearby town's lights. So this is like a more nature-oriented flotilla that we have. And then the last one that I put here is our Vis flotilla that combines the northern and the southern route. And then you still have enough time in the 2 free sailing days to go to Vis Island. Vis Island, amazing place. And the best time to visit it is the weekend. So that's when we do have those 2 free sailing days where our crew supports you from afar, enables you to go and visit Vis Island as well if somebody wants to. So as promised, I will be concentrating myself a little bit more on our Brač Flotilla. Don't forget that this isn't the only thing that we're offering, guys. If you choose a bareboat charter with a skipper, you can choose your own route, or a skipper can literally tailor what you want to do. If you only want to be in empty bays, if you only want to go to marinas, anything is possible. This is the one that we created quite recently. We're very happy with it. Guests really love it. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about this one. And in our base, you can actually charter a boat from Saturday, and it needs to end on a Saturday. So what does that mean? I'm just gonna take you through how a week usually works on this flotilla, or any flotilla actually. So you arrive on a Saturday, you're meeting with your crew, you're getting your boat briefing, you sleep on board, of course, inside Marina town. You can go out for a meal, you can stay and cook for yourself, however you prefer. And then on Sunday, you actually officially meet your 3-person crew. You're told exactly what your destinations are going to be, because who knows, maybe the weather isn't really playing along with our plans, which will never stop us from sailing out. We are experts in the end, so we will find a route that works best, even if there is a little bit more wind involved. And we are sailing out on Sunday. And then on that same Sunday, we are heading towards Stomorska on island Šolta. winery is a possibility, little beaches, beach bar, even a pub with Guinness beer. Everything is possible. Next day, we're going on the north side of Brač to Pučišća town, also already mentioned. The beautiful marble is their stonemasonry school. Next day, we're sailing out again and heading into Vrbovska town. There we're making that lovely, lovely raft to spend a lovely evening under the stars. Still close enough to Vrbovska and Jelsa towns to actually head into a town with a dinghy maybe and still do some mingling if somebody wants to. Then we are free sailing, which basically means that you are, with the help of our crew, deciding how exactly you want to spend your next night, whether it's in the Golden Horn Beach, whether it's again in an empty bay, or maybe you want to head into a town like Stari Grad or Hvar, completely your choice. Then we're heading into Mirna town. And after that, we are returning to base for a prize giving and to share actually how everything went before that sad moment of departure. But back to the beginning, what really awaits you on this route is Stomorska town. So Stomorska town, Mary already mentioned. On the left side, you can actually see our boats on a town quay. You see that stern to mooring that we're making. Here we usually do a group meal, which is a lovely way to kick off our flotilla. Everybody gets to know each other, share how they even got into sailing. It's a quiet enough town to really just go to bed early if somebody wants to. But also, you can't really see it in this picture, but a little bit to the right is a wonderful, wonderful tiny beach with an amazing beach bar. And they are open until 3 a.m., which our guests frequent a lot. The bean bags are amazing, and especially if you like a night skinny dipping or something like that, the season's open, guys. For wine lovers, this is an amazing spot. Kaštelanac Winery and Vitko come by exactly next to your boat with a car. They pick you up, 5-minute drive into their vineyard. Really amazing stuff. Lovely, lovely things there. So a lovely kickoff into our flotilla week. The next one is going to be on the north side of Brač Island, which is called Pučišća town. A similar picture we've seen already. Lovely, long bay, very protected and sheltered. The town quay is actually almost endless. Lovely restaurants, a little bit more traditional, I would say. This is the place where you can definitely get an amazing peka meal. We do help you to order it in advance and send you to the spot that will actually prepare it best for you. Pučišća is very famous for their white marble, white stone. It is actually also the same stone that was used to partially build the pillars in the Washington White House. So again, the school is open to visitors if you want to go and see how the students are making their work. Really, really nice. We are continuing our day after that, heading into Vrbovska town, or just in front of it on Hvar Island. And this one is actually known as the Little Venice. Amazing little town, great wineries. Guys, here you have at least 3 or 4 wine gardens. I do recommend Croatian wine, definitely, especially in a Croatian summer. We do not spend our night in a marina here, nor on the town quay. We go a little bit in front of the town and we make a lovely long raft to spend the night under the starry skies, especially in August. That's amazing because we have those falling stars that are happening a lot. So this is a lovely time to watch them, but still close enough to actually get into a dinghy and visit Vrbovska town if somebody wants to. After that, we're actually free sailing. And as much as we love spending, of course, time together with our guests, sometimes this is the point where the guests really feel that freedom. And then they can choose either to stay where they were already or to do a really long leg on a sail, really get that sailing going, just anchor for the night, or maybe pick up a quad ride somewhere. Hvar Island is amazing for quad rides, visiting the Stari Grad Plain or visiting another winery that has underwater wine tastings. So choices are really endless, and thankfully we have the crew to advise everyone on what exactly it is that you want to get out of your free sailing day. Then the whole flotilla is coming back to Brač Island, hence its name, Brač Flotilla, and we're meeting up in Mirna town. We are this time going into a very small marina to, top up on our water, have some electricity or air condition for the night. Mirna has amazing beaches. Those people that actually love to jog or hike, this is the spot. You can do 10K easy, even longer if you want to. Again, there's a cute little winery. And great food. So definitely one of the safest harbors that we have in Croatia, definitely Mirna town. I would also love to really quickly just maybe repeat or not, maybe Mary, maybe someone has mentioned it already, but we are actually, guys, offering you a unique opportunity to win a 7-night skippered charter from my base from Marina Agana. And it's very easy to compete there. Just, I think those information will be shared in that email that you guys are going to get. You'll be taken to a special website where you just click your link and you're entering a competition. I really am hoping that you are actually the one that wins it. It's an unforgettable experience, and it would be a shame to miss out the opportunity to actually win this and to come and see us as a winner. And then next time you're going to come as a paying customer as well. And that was me. I know I took a little bit maybe longer than I intended or that we had planned, but it wouldn't be the first time, I'm afraid.
Love your honesty, but thank you so much. Yeah, so much to take in there. I just feel I've learned so much myself about yachts, and I mean, what a wonderful way to do it. I just think, and then those different options as well, being skippered and in a flotilla. I mean, because I love nature, so I love the sound of the one that included all the nature. And but yeah, they all look amazing. Thank you for mentioning the competition, because I was going to say about that. Now, we have recorded this evening. We will be sending out the link this week. We will be mentioning all the names of the places that have been talked about tonight, because I know it's sometimes hard to take all those in. I've been scribbling them down, and I appreciate how difficult that is. We'll also have a link through to the competition in that follow-up email. And I don't know if any of the Wanderlust team can also put the link to the article that contains the competition, if they can put that in the chat box. But as I say, if not, or I might be able to do it myself, but we'll certainly be, where are we? Yeah. We'll certainly be putting that in the follow-up email, which is terrific. Now, we are kind of officially out of time, but we'll carry on for a few minutes if people want to stay with us. And because I'm sure that people would love to hear a bit more. So, Mary, welcome back to you as well. And I mean, what's your feeling about sailing as a way to get around the islands? Mary sound's gone again. Oh no, we have had some technical gremlins tonight. Okay, don't worry, while you're trying to sort that out. So, Mirna, you said, for instance, that it's a bit more expensive than Greece for those people who've been sailing in Greece. But I was wondering, no, I like the transparency and everything as well, but then everything's included. But what sort of costs would anybody have to pay anyway? I mean, can you give us a feeling, or Mary can help on this as well, maybe, but eating out, drinking the wine?
Sure. Yeah, of course. So there's a couple of really unavoidable costs that everybody has. One is definitely provisioning. So if you are provisioning now, I would even say it's still a little bit cheaper than, for example, UK, but I did notice we have a wonderfully international audience here. So to provision, of course, you can buy the local stuff, which is maybe a little bit cheaper. You can buy the more expensive stuff, which is a little bit up there on the quality. So that's then up to you. But for a dinner, for example, if you are planning to go out to a good konoba, we do have these wonderful restaurants that will give out mooring buoys free of charge to anyone that wants to eat in the restaurant. Those places will be around 40 euros per person, probably, if it's a 3-course or two or 3-course meal, and if you are affording yourself a glass of wine. If you want a bottle of wine, then we are talking a little bit higher than that, but it all depends on the wine. A good bottle of wine in Croatia, actually, again, between 20, 40, 50 euros, depending on what you want. If you want a really good crljenak, like the Zinfandel, you can even pay around 60 euros per bottle. But if you want a lovely little light white posh ship, then you can even find really nice ones for 20 euro. Second biggest topic for prices is usually the berths. So you can never include berths in the charter. It depends on the size of the boat. If one decides to go anchor only, then you don't pay anything. However, if you do go on mooring balls or town quays or marinas, the most expensive, let's just say the biggest boat that we have is a 50-foot catamaran. It will be around 200 euros for the night in one of the most expensive marinas in the Adriatic. So between €0 and 200 or 250 euros per night, it really depends on the itinerary. Our flotillas are concepted in that way that the costs are around, let's say, between 2 and maybe 600 euros for the week, depending on really the size of the boats. Our agents can maybe advise best while the booking is being done.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate that. Mary, have we got your sound back? I hope so.
Can you hear me now?
Yes!
Right. I'm back.
Good. Now, the food and drink must be one of the highlights of Croatia.
Surely. Oh, you're telling me. And the loveliest thing, it's funny, you're talking about costs and things, and things are, everything's gone up sadly, prices have gone up. But the thing that I find that's wonderful about eating out in Croatia is you can get really simple things, just simply grilled fish. Like, for example, grilled sardines. And they have a wonderful mussels dish in a buzara sauce, which is really absolutely gorgeous. And those are pretty much the cheapest things in the menu. And I happily eat those all the time because they just taste wonderful. And if you want to go for have a whole grilled fish, well, make certain that you ask the price beforehand and so that you haven't got any nasty surprises. But if you want to keep to a budget, just, things like, grilled bream or grilled sardines or, something like that, and mussels and langoustine sometimes. It all depends on where you are. But it's so simple. And yes, the wine. I mean, Croatian wine is criminally underrated because they don't make enough to export it on any sort of great basis. So you have to go there to drink it. I mean, what a shame to have to do that, So
horrible, right?
It's all part of the experience of having wine in situ, because you can't. It's hard to get it outside the country. So you just
it is difficult. I know, and as somebody who loves wine, and it is harder to get here, but I've always loved it when I've been there. So, Mirna, we've had a question from Alex who. He's asked if you can have a skipper for a short time, presumably at the beginning of the trip, to be satisfied as to how competent he is. So he is an experienced sailor, but I think it's having that reassurance of somebody to sort of start him off.
Absolutely. And we do get quite a bit of asks like that. And it's nothing unusual. So hi, Alex. In any case, yes, you can have a skipper for only the first or second day or just for 3 days. Definitely. It does have to be a special request. So if you're doing an online booking yourself, then it won't be offered. But we have loads of holiday planners that would be more than happy to do that for you. And then if you're okay with it 3 days afterwards, then no problem at all. Also, if you're just looking for a little bit of support and you don't know exactly where you're going, then again, those flotillas come in play, because you do get your support from that lead crew boat, but they're never with you on the boat. So they just advise you every day, and you're doing everything on your own. So that's really a great way to kind of get back into sailing, or just find some better sea legs, if you will.
Yeah, that sounds a really good idea. And I know what you mean, because it can be so, no matter how experienced you are at something, it can be a bit disorientating when you're suddenly thrown into it. I mean, I have nightmare anytime I do a fly driving out of an airport somewhere in the world. You forget everything. So I can imagine it's the same with yachts. Wonderful. Now, we get quite a few readers who like to travel solo. And is it suitable for them if somebody's a solo traveller?
Solo travelers. Was that? Well, I mean, I can start answering it, and then Mary maybe has some other ideas. But definitely around Croatia, you do get a lot of solo travelers. For sailing, though, you would have to probably book a sail by the cabin, so you get your own cabin. We are at the moment not offering that one from our base, but some other bases, yes. Also, the sailing school is booking by the cabin. So if you want to learn how to sail, if you want to be part of a sailing school, then definitely yes, you just book your cabin. You don't book a whole boat.
Yeah.
However, it is such a team sport, isn't it? So, just gather some friends, share the costs of a charter, and then get a boat, and then you will have a cabin on your own.
Yeah. Okay. Mary, have you got anything to add to that about perhaps solo travel anyway around the islands? Is it somewhere where... Yeah.
So Croatia is a very safe country. It's one of the safest to travel in. And women, especially women traveling on their own, can feel quite relaxed and not always feeling on edge. And I've been... I've done sort of bigger boats where we've had people traveling on their own, and everyone is just so keen to talk to each other and be sociable. And if you're traveling on your own and you're not sociable, that's a different thing. But it's very easy to figure out where to go and to get around. And it's not. I don't think it's a place where people traveling on their own should feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, gosh, looks like we've lost Mirna again. But I think we're going to have to finish anyway now. We really are over the time. So this is really unfair, and I hadn't spoken to you about this beforehand, Mary, but where to you, for a Wanderlust reader who has been saying, right, I do want to go and explore Dalmatia, the islands, and everything. Where's one magical spot that you would recommend? An insider secret. Sorry, I know I should have warned you this beforehand.
That's the worst question always.
I know, of course, it's awful. If anybody asks me anything like that, I get really cross. But come on, we want a real one that you think is just really special, and then I'll come to you about somewhere you think is just really magical and will live on people's memories if they go there.
Actually, well, funny enough, I mean, looking recently, ask me again in 2 months' time, I'll probably change my mind. It's like being asked what your favourite song is. I really love Putovic, which is the island in the Šibenik archipelago. It's a small place. It's, again, I didn't say earlier that they don't have any cars. They just have people on these golf buggies and these little sort of, the Piaggio Ape type little three-wheeler thingies.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it because there's nothing much more to do there, but you just sort of have slow walks around the pine-shaded paths and go for a swim and have a lazy meal and have another swim. And, it's a really, really pretty place. So I like that. But then, again, ask me in a few months' time, have a different answer.
Fair enough. Okay, Mirna, what about you?
If we're talking about the sailing region, I would probably say Vis Island. So, and not Vis town, but Komiža town. It just has these amazing beaches. Mamma Mia was filmed there. You can go for a hike. I adore diving, so diving paradise over there, really between 20 meters or 80 meters. If you have license, you can just do that. But that's why, the boat, because you don't only go to one spot. You're never going to take a boat and only spend your 7 days in Vis. You're going to go into a lot of places and without having to actually move your luggage here and there.
Exactly.
So,
that must be such a joy. You can go hiking, you can go diving, you can go snorkeling, you visit all these places.
Everything. And then there's the sailing, you know. You spend your afternoon on a boat just using the wind, going wherever it takes you. I mean, it's precious. It really is.
Oh, sounds magical. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm so sorry we're out of time, but thank you so much to Mary, to Mirna, to Sunsail for this evening, and that sounds really lovely. I hope everybody enters the competition. I wish I could enter it myself. Obviously not allowed.
Can I?
No, Mary, you can't.
Use somebody else's name.
But I do hope somebody watching this evening wins that wonderful prize. And so look out for the follow-up email, everybody, with a link to tonight. We'll give you the place names that we've talked about, the recommendations, and the link to that competition in case you didn't see it. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
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 Bye.